What's up, every pony? Using my girlfriend's mic, as per her suggestion. She's asleep, so she can't use it anyways. So I don't know why I didn't think about using it sooner. But regardless, here we are, dudes be back, but yet once again. And I want to talk about this fucking thing. This fucking thing has eaten up my life for like maybe the last week or two, because I've been thinking about it a lot. I recently ran it in a hodgepodge of 2E, 5E, and homebrew. And apparently it's pronounced Catoblepas. I don't know, it's a stupid fucking name. First gripe, shitty name. Catoblepas. You can also pronounce it a different way, but I'm gonna try to use Catoblepas. Catoblepas. That thing's fucking weird. And usually I get my ideas from monsters, as most do. If you're playing 5e, you just look through 5e and you sort by challenge rating. That's what I do. There's a cool website. I think it's actually this website where you can sort by challenge rating. And it's automatic dark mode. Great website. But 5CR is like, if you're like me, you read the names and you're like, that's a stupid name. I'm going to click that. And you click it and you see this thing. And you're like, that thing's kind of a fucking beast. Look at that fucking thing. It's got like the body of a brontosaurus, with like the face of a fucking warthog, with these weird frayed ears and this mangy brown fur, and this almost like the underside of its belly is like this exposed like ribs that are so dark with grime and gunk that it just like sticks out, and it's hard as rock. It's got these big fucking hooves and a club tail and these wayward fucking spikes. It's a fucking nasty thing. You probably don't expect this thing to have a death ray ability. Like, I genuinely have no... It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me how this thing has a death ray ability. So naturally, as I usually do with most monsters I intend on running, I looked up the Pathfinder and the AD&D versions to compare and contrast, take what I like, rebalance it, readjust it around. And, this is the Purple Worm. It's basically the same as this thing, so I'm just going to use this one because it's dark mode. First off, we're going to go to Pathfinder. I don't know what the balance of Pathfinder is, but it's a great way to get, like, reinvented ideas from D&D. This thing looks pretty cool, but that's because 5e redesigned it. 5e redesigned a lot of monsters, like the Bodak, this thing, fucking probably some other ones I can't think of because I haven't ran them. But usually when 5e redesigns a monster from its original counterpart, considering calling AD&D original, the original, they do a pretty good job. Pathfinder, though, Pathfinder has a way more interesting take on it. It's this thing. It lives in a swamp. It's got a terribly foul stench, and they move away from the death ray thing because the death ray thing doesn't make sense. Why does this thing have a death ray? There's a reason why it has a death ray. It's just poorly named, but we'll get into that in a minute. This fucking thing is like a swamp-dwelling beast, just like this one and just like this one, except this time it actually looks the part. This thing looks like an ambush predator. It looks like it slinks in a low pool where it can find a connecting body of water where its larger back half can sit in the deeper side and then have its head and its fucking antlers stick out just above the water like a crocodile. So adventurers come by, animals come by. It smells bad because it's a swamp. And then the moss thing rises up and it wasn't floating algae and debris and such. It was this fucking thing. And I think it does a really good job of that. They move away from the death ray ability with a poison breath ability, which I really like. I think poison breath should just be baseline. For a creature like this, who in all three of these iterations has an aura of stench that martial players will, if they get into range, will have to risk the chance of becoming sickened. I don't really know what sickened means in Pathfinder, but in 5e, it's a disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks. Like, it's kind of monstrous, just for being near the fucking thing. It's important to remember that this ability will pretty much only ever come into play when the marshals are going to the creature, because even if you do get poisoned off on a caster, it's not really gonna fuck with them too much. Like, if a marshal gets up into their range, it's because they want to hit him. Makes it harder for him to be hit if they fail to save. It's good. If this thing's up in front of a caster, it probably should have just stayed a little bit further away in the first place. Like, I guess you can get all these attacks off, but like, usually the breath attack, or in 5e and 2e, death ray, is what will get the caster to fuck off, because typically casters are not as durable as marshals. Ultimately, poison breath thing, really love this. And whenever I employ some bullshit like a innate spellcasting or breath attack, I institute a 1 in every d4, d6, whatever rounds. And then this thing, this is the most interesting of the cases. First off, it looks fucking stupid. This is a part of a trend that I've noticed in 2e, where they just throw a bunch of monsters, like a bunch of creatures, or a bunch of real creatures together, and they just give them some stupid bullshit. This thing it's part warthog, it's part buffalo, it's got the stumpy legs of a pygmy elephant, like, and then the long, windy neck of a fucking giraffe. Like, what are we cooking here, guys? They did it with the Chimera, where it's like, it's a goat and a lion, and it has fucking wings from a bat. Let's give it a bat head. And then there's a fucking owlbear, which is an owl and a bear. I think there is a branch that you can use this in. I think if you classify creatures like these under the description of the owlbear, where they say it is the creation of some wizard who was getting way too crazy with his creations, and then the first 2 owlbears probably killed him and then got out, and etc., etc., etc. They procreated. That, I think, is the best ruling for these weird hodgepodge creatures, rather than like it just naturally coming to be. And I think that's kind of intended, because the owlbear has a description for this, whereas the Chimera, it's a dark mystery better left unexplored. And the Catoblepas is just doesn't even tell you how it could have come into existence. I feel like it's implied that you'll see the owlbear, that being the more iconic of these hodgepodge monsters, as I've dubbed them. You'll see this, and I feel like it's kind of just implied for all these other creatures, that's kind of how these things are all made, is by somebody fucking with stuff that they shouldn't be fucking with, and they get out inevitably. But this thing, this thing's different. An owlbear, it has like the cunning of an owl and the strength of a bear, and combined together in a much larger body, they're incredibly deadly. Sure, I can see it. Chimera, it's part goat for some reason. That's probably just because if you threw another deadly animal in there, imagine you put a fucking panther head on there. Shit's fucking GG. Thank God this one got out. Jesus Christ. But goat, lion, dragon? Like, the dragon just seems so odd to me. It just seems like a way for DMs to be able to run a pseudo dragon without running a dragon to fucking kill their party. It's getting closer. It's lacking. It's losing oomph. And then this thing just comes out of fucking nowhere. Tell me, if you didn't know the 5e has a death ray ability, what do you think this thing's special little gimmick is? Owlbear? Owlbear's great. It's a fucking owl and it's a bear. It kills things with its claws and its beak. It's good, it's clean, it's precise. Gets the message across. Chimera, losing me a little bit with the dragon thing, but sure, it does the things a dragon and a lion and a goat can do. This thing instantly kills you if it sees you, if it makes eye contact with you. Instant. The gaze of the Catoblepas emits a death ray within a 60-yard range. Any creature meeting its gaze dies without a saving throw. If a party is surprised by this beast, there's a 1 in 6 chance that someone in the group has met the creature's gaze. Those with their eyes closed or act with their eyes averted can still be affected by the death ray, but a saving throw versus death magic is allowed. So per the rules of this game, if you know there's a Catoblepas in the area, and you enter into its area, with your eyes closed, and it gets a surprise check on you, there's a 1 in 6 chance you die anyways. And every action is the way I read this. Every time you go through a full round with your eyes averted or closed, if your eyes are completely closed and you do not open them at all, you get to make it with a save. It's part giraffe, elephant, warthog. Why does it have a death ray? And this is where the issue with the death ray naming convention from 5e comes up. It doesn't really make sense. It's the name death ray. It should be called death gaze, if anything. Death ray in 5e, though, like, whenever I see this thing casting, this thing doesn't look like an innate spellcaster. Like, it looks a lot more dangerous, looks a lot more deadly. It doesn't look like something that can cast a magic. Same thing with this thing. Whoever designed this thing, what the fuck were you cooking, man? Like, the death ray? Did we have 3 different designers locked in different rooms? I don't understand. So clearly we have a confliction here. This thing has the best, like, monstrous design. This thing has the best swamp monster design by far. This thing looks like it could actually exist in the world. This one, a little more iffy. Probably like has like a big, almost like a graveyard-esque area of all the bones it's eaten and stepped on over the years, like kind of like a dragon. You don't just see a dragon out in the plains, but you see them in their lair. This thing would be in its lair, maybe on a rare occasion, just as rare as you would see a dragon. You could see this thing stomping around, pulling something back to its cave, breaking over a tree to scratch itself on. This thing's an ambush predator. That's the vibe I get. Is it waits and it lurks, and as soon as it sees something worth killing, jumps up, gores the thing with its horns, chomps at it. Stench breath, I guess, is that what it's called? Poison breath. It's way better. This fucking thing, I don't know. Like, this thing doesn't make any sense. This thing pisses me off. Specifically the 2E one. 5E, pretty good. 2E, really good. AD&D 2E. Doesn't make sense to me. It's a meandering creature that just wanders around the swamp. genuinely, I have no idea why this thing was made. Like, there's so many monsters in the 2E Monsters Manual. And I'm sure it's just a matter of going through it and finding more shit like this. But this fucking thing doesn't make any sense to me. It's got a club tail, and it beats people with it. It has a chance of stunning people. I like that. That makes sense. The poison breath. The poison breath makes sense. It has such a strong stench that it emits it in a gigantic aura around it. That's how it marks its territory. And then getting too close to it physically makes you sick. It's brilliant. Just a hodgepodge. We just fucking we went into the Walmart bathroom and we got a bunch of paper towels and we wet them and we threw them against the wall over and over and over. This doesn't make any sense. But that's where we get into the more detailed version of this video. The more detailed, it's where we find the plot, if you could. So, I wanted to run this thing. I wanted to run 2 of these things. Maybe I'll do a campaign diary one day, but my players are currently on this abandoned isle. It's called Tolbarad. Kind of peeked there, my apologies. My games take place in the World of Warcraft universe, so I don't have to write my whole own world. I can just take and pick what I want. They're in Tolbarad. It's under Twilight Hammer influence. They got a bunch of crazed cultists in classic D&D fashion, effectively kidnapping people, experimenting on them, and then dumping them off onto the isle above. It's the 2 different isles that we got going on. The above isle, the northernmost one, the one you would teleport to in-game during Cataclysm, is the Isle of Experiments, where the Twilight Hammer just teleport in all these things that they've created and transmogrified into these monsters. And they have the bridge to the Southern Isle heavily defended, because that is their main base of operation, and they don't want any of these things on there. They need to teleport them to the other isle, because it's basically making their own ecosystem. They are experimenting for unknown reasons that I shall not state. I have created a few monsters and have been using a lot of these weird monsters for this isle. There's a lot of cool aberrations and undead that I think are hard to fit into a campaign otherwise. This is an example of one. I saw this a few months ago before I planned too much of what was on the isle, and I saw this thing. I was like, this thing's got to be on here. But I wasn't sure how, because I wasn't sure how deadly I wanted it to be. That's when I started doing research into the 5e, 2e, and Pathfinder 2e. That began my downward cascade into knowledge on this fucking stupid creature. So I had a challenge. I have a group of 4 level 9 adventurers, much stronger than level 9, dare I say. The system I use has homebrewed classes and homebrewed talents and a bunch of homebrewed spells, not to mention them having access to all the 2e spells and custom spell lists. They're really, really powerful. I would say they're probably on par with level 14 adventurers in a typical 5e, if not higher. My system's designed to let the players be very powerful. I think it encourages me to be able to make more out there encounters. It allows me to be a little more cutthroat with my creatures and their battle plans when it's applicable for them to be able to use them. In case of humans, it makes sense for them to be intelligent, etc. Now, I didn't want to just throw in one of these things, because these things are primarily solitary, and although I did want to use 2, because it makes sense, it's you need 2 creatures generally to mate. So I was like, I'm going to have 2 of these things. But the base 5e stat block is not enough for me. My adventurers are extremely powerful. They will cut through 84 hit points in a matter of 2 rounds, even if there are 2 of them. Maybe one will get to live an extra round. And the Death Ray is not as demonic of an ability as I would like. I do like the idea of creature making a save. If they fail it, they take damage rolled. If they fail it by too hard, they take the maximum damage dice. I like that. But 64 is just not really great. A recharge of 5 to 6. It's going to get this off maybe once as people are coming towards it. And then that'll kind of just be one note. However, I do like the tail. Big fan of the tail. Got big damage, 5d6 plus 4. Constitution save, a high constitution save too. On failure, stunning the target. This is gigantic. This completely throws the action economy, the Catoblepas, into a more favorable area, especially if there's another Catoblepas or there's additional monsters, which doesn't make sense for the creature to be paired with. This is why I wanted to do 2, because I knew 1 would not be strong enough no matter what alterations I made to it, without it just outright killing the entire party in a single ability, like some fucking Dark Soul OC or some shit. So I went here. Poison Breath. Poison Breath makes so much sense. It's this terrible fucking rotten creature. It is so pungent in odor that it stinks up like a few mile radius around its den, its lair. It has all these bodies everywhere. It's perfect. It makes so much sense for this thing to have a breath attack. While I had put the Death Ray on the back burner, I had almost written it off because I like the Poison Breath so much. But so as not to completely overshadow the rest of the creature, I wanted to wait. I knew I was going to use the Poison Breath. I knew I was going to use basically per written in Pathfinder 13d6. I think it's great damage. 60-foot cone. It's perfect. Recharges in 1d4 rounds. It's beautiful. And I pull up this one. And I want my party to be scared of things. I want them to know that no matter how strong they are, they're just one bad roll away from dying. And unsurprisingly, a eye contact with creature equaling instant death is not very fun. So, as much as I wanted to utilize the immediate death, I had considered making it a save versus death, where you still die at the end. Eventually, I decided not to go with that. This campaign's too long running. That hasn't been the precedent I've set in previous adventures throughout this campaign. This game has went through a few different iterations, and I finally settled on one that I'm very happy with, and I think my players are too. It feels cheap. Very cheap. So, I settled for a different plan. I will take the tail attack from 5e. I will take the Poison Breath from 2e. And I will take most of the Death Ray from AD&D. What I ultimately settled on is what I refer to as the dice nuke. Because I don't just want my players to fail the save against the Death Ray and then die. Instead, I've opted to have it be dice to roll. If they fail their save, I believe it's a dex save, Constitution save. They fail their Constitution save of 16. They take 16 d12 damage. That's a lot of fucking damage. And I was happy. I increased their HP by quite a bit. I think I gave it an extra 3d10 on average. I think I probably rolled 12d10 plus 40. Made it quite durable. I was happy with it. And I think the fight went great. They caught wind of this thing as it was pulling something back into its base, so they could see that it was in there. The way the cave was situated was that they had to confront it if they wanted to go this way. The cave has too big of an outlook. It was on a cliff face too. There was no way that if this thing wasn't paying attention, if this thing was paying even a little bit of attention, it would see them. I had the tail be a free attack every turn, effectively, and it had to choose between Death Ray with a 1d4 turn charge or Breath Attack. My druid ran forward to get its attention. She got high initiative. She turned into a bird. She flew into the fog north, so couldn't see her. My two marshals ran up to it. I couldn't quite get there for an attack just yet, but they made it within range of the Stench Cloud. I had both them roll. They both did incredibly well. No poisoned effect. That's a lot of the creature's durability. One of my marshals has an extremely powerful homebrewed item that I gave him before we changed systems. What are you going to do? And the turn ended with my shaman in the back throwing a few bolts at him. It was the only creature that had actually successfully attacked him. So he turns to Shui, the highborn shaman. Death rays him. Death rays her. I have her roll a Constitution save. She rolled poorly. And I said, okay, I'm going to roll the dice into roll 20. She has 78 max HP. Lo and behold, I think it was like 111 damage. The room shifted when I death rayed her. There was chaos. There was uproar. And I said, okay, hold on. I'm going to roll for its recharge, see if it gets it again. And I rolled. I nodded my head. I said, interesting. Got a 1. Unfortunately, the creature didn't get to use it again before it died, but it was able to get a breath attack off. Next round, Druid came down, started casting some spells, restored HP to Shui, so she did not die. And they were all lined up in a big, beautiful cone. This is at the point where its mate, another Catoblepas in the back of the cave in the dark, had taken note. I had rolled it into initiative. It had rolled kind of so-so. Could have been better. And it let out the breath attack. Both turns it took tail attacks. Well, not the last turn because he wasn't in range, but this turn it took a tail attack against my orc warrior. He's got like fucking 20 con. He resisted that shit, is whatever. And the breath attack, which was very wholesome, 13d6. Shit ton of damage falling on all these guys. First breath attack, I'm pretty sure they all made their saves. It was quite good for them. By the time that the turn had ended again, they had remained in the same position. So when round started over again, and actions proceeded a normal tail attack against my orc, he succeeded it. It's whatever. Second one comes through right as they kill that first one, and it poison breaths them. Does another tail attack. Doesn't work, obviously. But they all fail the poison breath this time. So now everybody's getting pretty low. They just are sitting in this giant cone they just keep, I don't know. Because, like, the marshals could position around. I was playing one of the marshals because they weren't there. But everybody just stood in a big line. So I figured it'd be more important to try and push home the area of effect rather than trying to outright kill one of my players. I think it's important to do that, because this was intended to be a dangerous encounter. But we're so late in the campaign at this point. Been going on for like maybe 3 years or so. I can't just kill one of these characters like that, especially since 3 of these characters are new. The only remaining character with any allegiance, really, to like the true depth and depravity of the story is my girlfriend. And she's playing a Draenei druid named Halara. And I put her through the fucking ringer. You always hear those fucking Reddit stories about like the DM who's just so nice to the girlfriend and how she gets everything. No, I put her through it. She has by far the most D&D experience. She is pretty much the whole reason I even have players are granted access to the 2e spell list, is because she wants to be able to use them. And I was like, okay, it's allowed to be used. Everybody else is pretty new to D&D, so they mostly stick with the 5e spells if they're a spellcaster. Maybe stretching out to my homebrew WoW spells if they are feeling really, really daring. But generally speaking, they stick within the lines. That girl, that lady, I love her. She is so experienced in D&D, especially 2e. She's pulling spells and interactions I never even thought of out. And sometimes I'll hear her talking about it and I'll have to pull up the spell and I'll have to read it, have her re-explain it to me a few times. I'm trying to think, like, is there a way I can fuck her over on this? Usually there's not. It's great player behavior. Love my players. All of them. But ultimately, my Catoblepas encounter went extremely well. I really scared the shit out of my players, especially my Highborn Shaman, Shui. She got fucking one shot. She got one shot from full HP. I almost overkilled her. She was like 40 hit points away from being overkilled and instantly dead. And I think it's a good lesson. I don't know if all my players have internalized it like my girlfriend has and such, but these creatures are fucking, not just these creatures on this island, but like a lot of things you can fight can just pull up, cast some crazy fucking spell, whether it's innate or it's a physical spellcaster. They can just pull up and cast some crazy shit, and it could just fucking kill you. They are ending the last session, going into the next session, going to be doing a gigantic encounter. And I think the encounter with the Catoblepas, stupid fucking name, I'm never going to say this shit right. I think the encounter with it helped remind them of their mortality. That there are creatures in this world are going to act optimally. They want to kill you. And are more than okay with, depending on the creature, dying for a cause. Sure, the Catoblepas is not an incredibly intelligent creature, so it had no cause to die for. It merely wanted to live. They're innately spiteful creatures, so seeing these things walk up to its base, it's never been challenged before. It thought it could just death ray them and then poison breath the rest and kill them all, just like it's done to pretty much everything else that it's ever hunted on this island. And it was wrong. But it's not alive anymore to have a lesson to learn. And I think I'm reading too much into it, as most DMs do. really hope my players realize that shit's fucking scary out there. Shit's deadly. It's something I'm really trying to push home. I think it's something that a lot of DMs can strive to push more too. That was my use of it. Stupid fucking creature. You can tell I'm holding up the Pathfinder one because I don't want to look at this one. So I'll bring the page back over here. I have a lot of issues with a lot of creatures in D&D, no matter what edition they're from, though I'm mostly well versed in 5e and AD&D. And I initially brought this out as almost like a joke, like a challenge. Like, look at this stupid fucking creature. We're going to this weird island. I want to see if I can use it. And I think ultimately I liked it more as an aberration, like something that was willed into existence by another power over something that just naturally occurs. It makes more sense this way. For it to have innate spellcasting and other such deadly shit being made of spite. It's from the day it was created, it was hating other living creatures because all it had ever known was being experimented on and pushed around and told what to do. And when it finally got free, it adapted that mindset into its survival. I think that's really cool. As much as I give this thing shit, it's been really nice to be able to just yap about it. I don't know if I'll ever run this thing again, but I think that was such an infamous moment that if I ever describe this thing again without saying its name to the same group of players, it will send a fear response. And I think I like that. To a certain degree, I want there to be a level of metagaming where my players who have played in this campaign will play another campaign, and maybe, just maybe, they'll be like talking to some guy who's talking about going to some place, and he's like, oh yeah, there's this weird like orange elephant looking thing with this big neck. It's got hooves and this club tail and this purple mark on the middle of its forehead. That's how I explained the death ray, was that it was shot through this individual eye. This eye is the one that blasts you with the magic. But I want my players to hear that description and say, at a game, we're not high enough level to do that. And I kind of want that. When there is a level of metagaming, it feels way more fair, if that makes sense. This is kind of a philosophical talk about D&D now, what was originally meant to be a Catoblepas video. But this thing alone has kind of ushered what I hope is a sense of fear in my players. A sense of fear that will carry on whenever they fight another creature that is more than just like a one-off, like named general or whatever, who, if you kill him, he won't appear again. I want them to know these things. And I want there to be the discrepancy of them having to roleplay not knowing these things and hearing, as a character, oh, there's this weird orange giraffe-looking bison thing? Yeah, we can kill that. And the player is thinking, if we do that, one of us is going to die and the other two might escape. That is what I love about D&D. I love when the DM gets to play with their thumb super heavy on the scale, but only because the players have enough knowledge and experience, literally as a character and as a player, to be able to make proper decisions about a thing. I love it. And I think that's something I've been really trying to ease my players into in my more recent campaign. As much as say I hate this thing, I think I kind of like it. It's a weird fucking monster. It's got me here yapping for 40 minutes. And it's just so weird. I'm a big fan. Thanks for hearing my thoughts about the Catoblepas. Just me yapping. I have a lot of thoughts about a lot of things in D&D and in my games. Hell, maybe I'll start a campaign diary. Probably when I'm at a point where I'm awake at normal hours and it's not 12:33 a.m. and I can speak like a normal human being, so my audio isn't so bad. But only time will tell. This fucking stupid thing. Well, if you watched, what's wrong with you? I don't know what's wrong with you. Get help. I hope it's enjoyable to some degree. If it wasn't, sorry. Do what I can. Fuck it, this stupid thing. I have no way to end it. Here. There you go. Let that be your ending.